Well, hi, Shelley. Hey, it's so nice to talk with you. How you been?
I've been well. I've been well. Yeah, very busy. Excited.
Uh,
Excited to be busy, moving and grooving. So 'tis the season. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic, and I'm always excited to get an opportunity to chat with you on some of these great topics, specifically in the meeting space. So, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about where you're from?
Yeah, my name's Shelly Gutta. I'm from West Virginia, North Central West Virginia, born and raised. Went to WVU, graduated with a degree in political science and history, and somehow that rolled into hospitality. Yeah, I dabbled in hospitality when I was at WVU, worked at a hotel, and it just kind of stuck with me. So here I am, 20 years later, still in hospitality and loving it.
Wonderful, fantastic. Um, Wanted to talk a little bit about today with you about this trending topic of exclusivity, being more exclusive in meetings. Can you share a little bit about what that means to us?
Um, I think what it means, like in a meeting setting, is that you want to be able to get the most from your meeting, and your return on investment is to be more inclusive for your meetings. I mean, there's big personalities out there. I think every
Mm.
group organization has those few of big personalities, and you'll always hear from them, but you don't always hear from the quieter folks, the introverts, people that have something to offer, that want to be heard, want to be valued, want to offer their opinion, but don't feel comfortable or given the appropriate opportunity to offer that. And because of that, you're missing a whole new perspective, or an influx of information that could be very valuable to your meeting.
Yeah.
So we need to take or make a conscious decision to make sure that we're making people feel included in the meeting, that
Mhm.
they are valued, that their opinions are important, and that they are heard.
That's great. Yeah, because I've been doing quite a few meetings and big productions, and there's lights, and sometimes it just feels very, very intimidating for somebody that
It
doesn't
can.
necessarily have or is comfortable in putting themselves out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's those quiet folks, those introverts that have oftentimes have these great ideas, but they're not given an opportunity to share that. So that's yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah. And as a presenter or somebody that's putting on a meeting, I mean, take a look around the room and ask, right? Ask someone,
Right.
hey, do you have a thought? Do you have an opinion? Something you'd like to offer? I mean, sometimes they won't, but many times, they will, and you'll gain a different perspective on a topic that you may have not that you may have overlooked.
Mm, there you go.
So.
Wonderful. Well, what are some ideas that you could share with us that might set that stage, no pun, of creating a meeting that is much more welcoming and inclusive?
I think you can start like pre-meeting, maybe send out that invitation, send out that email saying, hey, this is, the meeting time, come early, or be on time, and be prepared to offer, this is what the topic is, and be prepared to offer some suggestions or some thoughts on it. And that way then people don't feel put on the spot when they're expected to participate, and they've pre-planned and set something up for that. So that's a good first way to start. Another way would be to offer maybe or set up assigned seating. I
Mm.
don't know if you've I mean, I'm in meeting situations all the time, and it's very easy to kind of migrate to the folks that you always sit with, people that are like-minded, your friends, the colleagues that you always see, your same departments. And then you kind of don't get those ideas or have those conversations or those friendships from other departments and other areas. So maybe by doing assigned seating, having it predetermined, or in the middle of the meeting, people are coming in, they're all sitting with their cliques and their folks that they're used to sitting with, do a quick rotate, just like in the meeting, people get up, stretch, and, change your seating a little bit. And then you're kind of like forced to have those conversations and meet those other folks that you normally may have not have met. That's a good one. And I'm trying to think. Another one would be to just, as a presenter, as I mentioned before, is if you're standing up there, is just to ask. We have those strong personalities. If you don't have an opportunity to, if other people aren't getting an opportunity to speak their mind, feel heard or valued, look out across the room and, ask someone a question. Give them the opportunity. And if they're interrupted by somebody, circle back around and give them their time to speak so they feel valued and they feel as if what they're saying is important, because it is.
Absolutely. Love that. Those are some fantastic ideas. And you touched on just briefly on some results or things that could be a benefit of having inclusive meetings. So we're always looking at what's the outcome, right? If we're going to make these changes, change things up, it's hopefully for the better. So what are some outcomes or intentional new results that we might be able to expect from making a meeting more inclusive?
Well, I think I was really surprised to learn that most of the time, 40% or more of attendees and employees don't feel valued. They don't feel seen. They don't feel heard, which to me, that is a huge number. And that probably, adds to, where we are right now with, we previously talked about like maybe those quiet quitters, the folks that show up to work every day. They do the bare minimum, but because they don't feel valued, they don't feel important, they don't feel seen or heard, they're doing the bare minimum and then they're going home. So you're not getting the most out of your folks. So by making people, feel included, the benefits from that, you get higher performance. They're going to love where they work. So they're going to recommend other people, to work at your organization because they feel so valued and they love it. So they're going to recommend others. You're going to get an influx of ideas that you probably wouldn't have gotten if you hadn't included, these folks in your meetings. And then all of this equates to, what we all want is a better bottom line. What we're all doing it for, right?
It all comes back to that bottom line, right?
Mm-hmm. It sure does. It sure does. So, and to have an inclusive meeting where all of your attendees feel, important, that would be just ideal to have everybody in the same room on the same page. It's something to aspire to.
That's a really good point. In fact, I had another conversation just last week, and it was the concept of ownership. And I think you just described it, right?
Yeah.
All those items that you just touched on ultimately gives that person a sense of ownership, and that can be a bigger motivator than even money. So you hit it. I think you're really onto something right there. To give that person a sense of importance.
That's absolutely right. Get a reason to bounce out of bed every morning and go to work and, spend those hours, with people that you enjoy in a place that you love. Yeah.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Some great takeaways there. So I always ask this question when we have our great conversations. you've always got great tips on secret sauce. So can you share some, that was a tongue twister there.
The
Some
secret
jelly
sauce.
secret sauce with us. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, down at the seashore.
Yes, right.
My secret sauce. I think a skill that we all need to work on is clear communication. To articulate yourself well, to make sure you're getting your idea across when you're speaking to someone, and taking into account that we're all different. We all have different perceived or preferred methods of communication, whether it's this Zoom or it's in person or you're picking up a phone or you're shooting an email. I mean, we all receive our information a little bit differently and better through different mediums. So, when you're having that conversation with someone, make sure that you're being clear and that they're understanding what you're trying to say. You can pick up on nonverbal, cues like, aha, they've got it, or aha, maybe I better say that a different way,
Right.
and ask them to repeat what you've just said to make sure you have that meeting of the minds. And then, communication is just not one-sided. I mean, when you're involved in a communication, I mean, you've got to be actively listening as well. You've got to put your best foot forward and listen and make sure you're understanding what they're saying. And if you don't, ask questions. So my secret sauce is just clear, active communication on both sides, whether you're speaking or whether you're listening.
I love that. And I know, as I mentioned before we got on this, the listening aspect, it sounds so simple, but for many of us, and I try to retract the word sales, because sometimes it's a negative connotation, because oftentimes the word salesperson doesn't equate to great listener all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so important, because oftentimes we're in a problem-centric process that's our selling process. And if you're not listening to what the problem is, how can you recommend a solution, right?
Right. I mean, it's a skill that you have to be conscious of and work on. I was not always a good listener. So, and I feel like I have come a long way. So, yeah.
That's great. I absolutely love that. Well, hey, I really appreciate you spending a few minutes with us, especially on the Monday. I know you're super swamped and busy, so thanks for the time, and look forward to our next combo.
Hey, I always enjoy seeing you on a Monday, a Wednesday, a Friday, any day of the week, Corey.